Welcome back to New Day Northwest. Have you ever heard that it's a good idea to take off your shoes and actually feel the earth with your feet? Well, there is something so powerful and poignant about connecting with nature. Our next guest, author Chris Dombrowski, he reflects on this connection along with his experiences in Montana fly fishing in his new book, The River You Touched. Chris joins me now. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
I have to say, there is something that kind of changes in the human body when you get to connect with nature on that level, and you almost feel it's more relaxed. It's better for our souls, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's remarkable. I've read that even staring at water for 30 seconds can change like the cellular composition of a body, and certainly our psychological states and moods.
So you must be in a really great psychological state because you spent a lot of time on the river. You are an experienced fly fishing guide in Montana. How did you get into this sport, and why do you love it so much?
I started guiding, I was passionate about angling as a kid, and I started fly fishing when I was about 16, and the natural step was to try to become a guide, because the mistake in the thought process then was that it would lead to more fly fishing opportunities. Of course, it led to more actual rowing of the boat and teaching people to fly fish. But nonetheless, I spend a ton of time on the water a year.
And is that what inspired you to write The River You Touch?
Yes, the book originally began as, I would say, like a love song to the rivers of Montana. And then in turn, I kind of, our life in Montana, my wife and our 3 kids there, have rooted ourselves deeply there, and reflecting on that kind of attempt to live an authentic life in a place that's not always easy to make a living in inspired the book.
That is a really good point. What are your thoughts on humans and connection to nature, and how landscapes are kind of a character in your work?
Yeah, I think hopefully the landscape is really the main character in this book. And I fear that as we kind of lose contact with the natural world, we may in turn kind of lose that instinct to protect it. So one of the things that that inspired the book was our children and the way they interact with the natural world, and that kind of sense of wonder that they have that doesn't seem to die out in them as quickly as it does in us adults.
Yeah.
So so that nature of wonder, I guess, is something that I explored in the book.
And you're imparting that importance of conservation in your children and throughout the book.
Yeah, I think without a sense of wonder, we don't fall in love with something.
Yeah.
And if we don't fall in love with it, then we probably don't protect it, right? That instinct doesn't happen.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that it is hard, though, as we get older, to be able to turn it off. I remember being on a field study in geology and looking up at the mountain and being just awestruck. And I was 19. There's a lot of room for me then to be awestruck, but I think it's harder to get in that shell. Do you have any advice on how to break that, how to really break through and get into the nature?
Yeah, I mean, you started off by talking about contact, actual contact, like bare feet touching earth, or hands touching water, or touching fish, or touching an elk that someone has harvested and turning that into a meal. That actual contact with the natural world, I think, breaks down that kind of barrier that you're referencing, and in that sense, it's really what's going to save us in the end.
I think you're right. I really do think you're right, and it, like you said, just calm us down a little bit, which I think is important. Did becoming a dad and seeing your children interact with nature kind of change your perception of it? Because I know that when I watch my children interacting with nature, when we go camping for, let's say, a week, seeing them actually pick up twigs and rocks is just amazing to me, because they're not on this screen, you know?
It did. In fact, I think it, in a sense, really kind of resurrected that sense of wonder in me. It had been dying out due to natural causes, I guess, right, of adulthood.
Right.
And in that sense, being a dad gave me access to that that real potent sense of, you use the word awestruck, I think. And as we age, I think our ability, we lose that ability, right? But our children can resurrect it in us.
I hope so. Who is this book written for? Who do you want to read this book?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, in many ways, it was written for our children and the next generation of people who are going to come in deep contact with the earth. In particular, though, people of the West. You know, it's a book about a young man, me, who, as a 16-year-old, fell in love with fly fishing, but not only with fishing, but with writing about the natural world. I had a great teacher who gave me a copy of A River Runs Through It when I was 16, Norman Maclean's classic. And at that point in life, I'd never even read a single literary book from cover to cover. So that event kind of changed my life, changed my trajectory.
Wow.
So it's a book written for people who want to live in deep contact with the natural world, in particular who are in love with the West.
Wow. And we are. Thank you so much, Chris. The book is The River You Touch. And just a reminder, Chris is actually holding an author event at Elliott Bay Book Company tonight, Monday, November 14th at 7 p.m. So go check it out and I'm just relaxed talking to you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Can't wait to read the book.